The brave journey of Princess Lyla. Long ago, the peaceful tiny kingdom was cursed by the bitter witch Morgana, shrinking all its people to the size of a thumb. Life became dangerous, but the tiny citizens adapted, living in harmony despite their longing to break the curse. Princess Lyla, born after the curse, grew up hearing stories of their once grand kingdom. Though small, she dreamed of restoring her people's happiness. One stormy night, she discovered an ancient manuscript in the royal library. It spoke of 3 magical gems, scattered across distant lands, that could break any curse. Lyla's heart raced. She whispered, "I will find these gems and save my people." With that, her journey to restore the tiny kingdom began. The morning sun pierced through the tiny leaves above Lyla's acorn-shaped home as she prepared for her journey. Holding the ancient manuscript tightly, she shared her discovery with her parents, the king and queen. Though worried, they saw the determination in her eyes and reluctantly gave their blessing. The manuscript revealed the locations of the 3 gems, the black stone hidden in a dark cavern, the radiant pearl guarded in a mystical forest, and the emerald heart buried beneath an ancient city. Lyla's first destination was the black stone, deep within the treacherous land of shadows. Before setting off, Lyla packed her essentials, a pouch of breadcrumbs, a tiny sword forged from a thorn, and her courage. As she stepped outside, a small sparrow named Tycho landed nearby. "I've heard of your quest, Princess," Tycho chirped. "Let me guide you to the land of shadows. You'll need a sharp eye and swift wings." With Tycho as her companion, Lyla began her adventure. The towering trees loomed above them as the path grew darker. Though her heart beat faster with every step, she knew this was the beginning of something extraordinary. The dense forest grew darker as Lyla and Tycho ventured deeper into the land of shadows. Towering trees blocked out the sunlight, and an eerie silence filled the air. The ground beneath their tiny feet was damp, and the faint rustle of unseen creatures sent shivers down Lyla's spine. The manuscript had warned of a guardian protecting the black stone. As they approached a rocky cavern, Tycho perched on Lyla's shoulder and whispered, "Stay alert. Danger could be anywhere." Inside the cavern, glittering crystals adorned the walls, casting dim, eerie reflections. In the center of the cavern lay the black stone, glowing faintly. Lyla stepped forward, but a low growl stopped her in her tracks. A giant spider, its 8 eyes gleaming, emerged from the shadows, blocking the path. Lyla gripped her thorn sword tightly. The spider lunged, but Tycho swooped down, distracting it with sharp pecks. Using her size and agility, Lyla darted under the spider, narrowly avoiding its legs. With a quick leap, she struck the creature's weak spot, sending it retreating into the shadows. Breathing heavily, Lyla approached the black stone. As her tiny hands touched its surface, the gem pulsed with light. "One down," she said with a smile. "2 more to go." With Tycho by her side, she left the cavern, ready for the next challenge. With the black stone safely secured in her pouch, Lyla and Tycho set out toward their next destination, the radiant pearl, hidden in the heart of the mystical forest of lights. To reach it, They needed to cross the vast and unpredictable luminous sea. The journey to the shore was uneventful, but the sight of the roaring waves made Lila's tiny heart race. "We'll need a boat," she murmured. Tycho led her to a hollowed-out walnut shell left by the forest animals. With a leaf as a sail and spider silk as rope, Lyla fashioned a sturdy vessel. As they set sail, the sea seemed calm at first, the water sparkling like a field of stars. But as they ventured further, dark clouds gathered, and a storm erupted. Fierce winds tossed their tiny boat, and waves loomed like mountains. Just as the storm seemed unbearable, a sleek dolphin emerged from the waves. "Hold on, travelers," it called. The dolphin introduced herself as Luna and offered to guide them through the storm. Clinging tightly to the boat, Lyla and Tycho followed Luna's lead as she expertly navigated the treacherous waters. After hours of struggle, the storm subsided, and the horizon revealed a calm, shimmering shore. Exhausted but relieved, Lyla thanked Luna for her help. "You're brave for one so small," Luna said with a smile before diving back into the waves. Safe on land, Lyla and Tycho prepared to enter the mysterious Forest of Lights, their next challenge awaiting. Lyla and Tycho stepped into the mystical Forest of Lights, a place unlike any they had ever seen. The trees glowed softly, their leaves shimmering like stars. Fireflies danced in the air, and the ground sparkled as if sprinkled with tiny jewels. But the beauty of the forest was deceiving. Danger lurked behind its enchanting facade. According to the manuscript, the radiant pearl was hidden at the forest's heart, protected by magical guardians. As they ventured deeper, strange whispers filled the air. Tycho perched on Lila's shoulder, his sharp eyes scanning their surroundings. "Stay close," he warned. "This place feels alive." Suddenly, a swarm of glowing orbs surrounded them, transforming into mischievous sprites. "What brings a tiny princess and her bird to our forest?" one sprite asked, giggling. "We seek the radiant pearl to break a curse," Lyla said firmly. The sprites laughed. "If you want the pearl, you must prove your worth," they said. And with a clap, the forest shifted. The trees rearranged, forming a maze, and the sprites vanished. Lyla and Tycho navigated the ever-changing maze, solving riddles and overcoming illusions. One riddle stumped Lyla, but Tycho's quick thinking saved the day. After what felt like hours, they reached the forest's heart, where the radiant pearl floated atop a shimmering fountain. As Lyla approached, the sprites reappeared. "You've shown courage and wisdom," they said. "The pearl is yours. But remember, its light grows only with kindness." They handed her the pearl, which pulsed with a warm glow. Grateful, Lyla tucked the radiant pearl into her pouch. With 2 gems now in her possession, she and Tycho left the Forest of Lights, ready to face the final challenge. Leaving the Forest of Lights, Lyla and Tycho felt hopeful with 2 gems secured. Their next destination was the ancient city of Lamora, where the final gem, the Emerald Heart, was said to be buried. The journey was long, and Lyla decided to rest near a bubbling brook while Tycho kept watch. As they relaxed, a shadowy figure emerged from the bushes. It was a mole dressed in a patched cloak. introducing himself as Marlowe. "I couldn't help overhearing your quest," he said. "I know a secret path to Lamora. Allow me to guide you." Though Tycho was skeptical, Lyla saw kindness in Marlowe's eyes and agreed to his offer. The mole led them through winding paths and dark tunnels, claiming it was the quickest route. But as they neared the city, Marlowe suddenly blocked their way. "I'm sorry, Princess," he said with a regretful tone. "But I can't let you go further. Hand over the gems." Before Lyla could react, Marlowe lunged, his claws swiping at her pouch. Tycho flew at Marlowe, pecking at him fiercely. Lyla quickly grabbed her thorn sword and defended herself, her tiny frame dodging Marlowe's attacks. Realizing he was outmatched, the mole fled into the darkness, shouting, "You haven't seen the last of me." Breathing heavily, Lyla clutched her pouch. "I trusted him," she said, her voice tinged with disappointment. Tycho landed beside her. "Not everyone is what they seem, Princess. But you're stronger than you think." Determined to continue, Lyla and Tycho pressed on toward Lamora. Despite the betrayal, her resolve to break the curse burned brighter than ever. After days of travel through rugged terrain, Lyla and Tycho finally arrived at the ancient city of Lamora. The ruins were vast and silent, with crumbling stone towers covered in moss and ivy. The air was heavy with mystery, and the only sounds were the distant calls of birds and the rustling of leaves. "The Emerald Heart is here somewhere," Lyla said, holding the manuscript. It mentioned a great underground chamber beneath the city, where the gem was hidden and guarded by an ancient force. As they explored, Lyla noticed strange markings on the walls, symbols that seemed to guide them. Following the markings, they reached an old stone staircase spiraling deep into the ground. With her tiny sword in hand, Lyla led the way, her heart pounding. At the bottom, they found a massive underground hall, illuminated by a faint green glow. In the center of the chamber floated the Emerald Heart, its light pulsing like a heartbeat. But as Lyla approached, the ground trembled, and the guardian of the gem revealed itself, a giant stone golem with glowing emerald eyes. "You shall not take what you do not deserve," the golem's voice boomed. It stepped forward, shaking the ground with every movement. Lyla thought quickly. She remembered the prophecy's lessons: courage, wisdom, and kindness. Drawing on her courage, she spoke up. "We don't seek the gem for greed or power. I wish to save my people and restore their happiness." The golem paused, its eyes narrowing. "Prove your worth," it said, raising its massive hands. A test of bravery and wit began as Lyla dodged the golem's attacks and solved riddles it presented. With Tycho's help, she found weaknesses in its movements, avoiding danger with clever strategies. Finally, as Lyla answered the golem's final riddle, it stepped aside. "You have shown courage and heart. The Emerald Heart is yours," it said, its voice softer now. Lyla carefully retrieved the gem, its green glow warm in her tiny hands. "Thank you," she said with a bow. The golem returned to its slumber as Lyla and Tycho climbed back to the surface, the final gem now in their possession. With all 3 gems, the end of their journey was near, but Lyla knew the hardest challenge was yet to come. emerging from the depths of Lamora with the emerald heart in her pouch. Lyla felt a wave of relief. The 3 gems were now united, and she was one step closer to breaking the curse. Tycho chirped excitedly. "We did it, Princess! Let's return home and save the kingdom." But the journey back was far from safe. As they left the ruins and entered the forest's edge, shadows began to move. Suddenly, Marlowe, the treacherous mole, reappeared, flanked by a group of bandits. "I told you this wasn't over," he sneered, his claws gleaming. "Hand over the gems, or you'll regret it." Lila's heart raced, but she stood her ground. "These gems are not yours, Marlowe. They belong to my people." Marlowe laughed. "Your courage is admirable, but it won't save you." The bandits closed in, surrounding Lyla and Tycho. The sparrow flapped his wings fiercely, trying to create a distraction, while Lyla drew her thorn sword. Despite their tiny size, Lyla and Tycho fought bravely. Tycho swooped down to peck at the bandits' faces, blinding them momentarily, while Lyla used her agility to dodge and strike with her sword. However, the sheer number of bandits overwhelmed them, and Marlowe managed to grab Lila's pouch. "No!" Lyla cried as Marlowe opened the pouch to take the gems. But just as he reached inside, a sudden roar echoed through the forest. The ground shook, and the trees parted to reveal Luna, the dolphin, gliding through the air on a magical wave of water. The bandits froze in shock as Luna swept through them, knocking them off their feet. "You won't harm the princess," she declared. The bandits, terrified of the magical creature, fled into the forest, dragging a furious Marlowe with them. Lyla hugged the pouch tightly, ensuring the gems were still safe. "Thank you, Luna," she said, her voice trembling with gratitude. Luna smiled. "You have powerful allies, Princess. But your journey is not over yet. Be careful, greater dangers await." With renewed determination, Lyla and Tycho continued their journey home, knowing the fate of their kingdom was now within their grasp. The journey back to the tiny kingdom was long and filled with both relief and anticipation. Lyla, with the 3 magical gems securely in her pouch, felt the weight of responsibility growing heavier with every step. Tycho, ever watchful, flew ahead, scanning for any sign of danger. As they neared the kingdom's edge, familiar sights greeted them, the towering blades of grass that served as walls and the sparkling dewdrops glistening like jewels. The people of the kingdom, alerted to her return, gathered at the gates. Their tiny faces lit up with hope as they saw their brave princess. "She's back," someone shouted, and cheers erupted. The king and queen rushed forward, their eyes filled with both pride and worry. Lyla knelt before them, presenting the pouch containing the gems. "I've returned with the means to break the curse," she said. The royal advisor stepped forward with the ancient manuscript in hand, pointing to the final instructions. To activate the gem's power, they needed to be placed on the altar in the heart of the kingdom. But there was a catch: the process required immense energy. And Lyla, as the bearer of the gems, would need to face the magical forces unleashed. "Are you sure about this, Lyla?" her mother asked. her voice trembling. It could be dangerous. Lyla nodded firmly. I've come this far. And I won't turn back now. Our people deserve to live without fear. That evening, under the light of a full moon, the entire kingdom gathered at the sacred altar. The 3 gems were placed in their respective slots, a black pedestal for the black stone, a silver pedestal for the radiant pearl, and a green pedestal for the emerald heart. The gems began to glow, their light intensifying and weaving together into a dazzling beam. As Lyla stepped forward to activate the ritual, the ground beneath her feet began to tremble, and a powerful wind swept through the gathering. She felt the energy of the gems surging toward her, testing her courage and resolve. Despite the overwhelming force, Lyla stood tall, ready to face whatever lay ahead to save her people. As the gem's light enveloped the altar, the air crackled with energy, and the earth itself seemed to hold its breath. Lyla stepped closer, feeling the immense power radiating from the gems. The ancient manuscript had warned of a final test, and now it was upon her. A booming voice echoed from the light, deep and commanding. Princess Lyla, bearer of the gems, you seek to break the curse. But only one with a pure heart, unwavering courage, and selfless resolve can wield their power. Are you ready to face the ultimate test? Lyla swallowed hard, but her voice was steady. I am ready. The light shifted, and Lyla found herself standing in a vast, starry void. In front of her appeared 3 figures, her parents, the king and queen. But their expressions were cold, their eyes stern. Why risk your life for this journey? Lyla, they asked in unison. You could have stayed safe at home. Lyla's heart ached at their words, but she stood firm. I risked my life because my people deserve freedom. Their happiness is worth any sacrifice. The figures faded, replaced by a massive shadow that loomed over her. It took the shape of Morgana, the witch who cursed the kingdom. You think you can undo my work? Morgana hissed. You are small, powerless. You cannot succeed. Lyla clenched her fists. Being small does not mean being powerless. I may be tiny, but my courage and heart are greater than any curse you can cast. The shadow roared and lunged at her. But Lyla didn't flinch. She held her ground, and the shadow dissolved into the void. A brilliant light surrounded her, and the voice returned. You have proven your worth, Princess Lyla. The gem's power is yours. Lyla was pulled back to the altar, where the gems glowed brighter than ever. Their energy surged through the kingdom, breaking the witch's curse in a dazzling explosion of light. The people gasped as they began to grow, returning to their normal size. The tiny kingdom was tiny no more. As the light faded, Lyla collapsed, exhausted but triumphant. Her parents rushed to her side, tears of pride in their eyes. The kingdom erupted in cheers, their joy echoing through the night. Lyla had done it. She had saved her people and restored their home. But deep down, she knew her journey had only just begun. The lessons she learned and the bonds she forged would guide her as the future queen of a now thriving kingdom. The day after the curse was lifted, the kingdom was alive with joy and celebration. The once tiny citizens marveled at their newfound size, exploring the world that now seemed vast and full of possibilities. Laughter and music filled the air as everyone gathered in the town square to honor Princess Lyla. Banners fluttered, and tables were laden with food prepared from the kingdom's bountiful harvest. Lyla stood on a raised platform, looking out at the smiling faces of her people. Though she was still weary from her journey, seeing her kingdom restored filled her with pride. The king stepped forward, his voice booming with emotion. Today, we celebrate not just the lifting of the curse, but the bravery and selflessness of our daughter, Princess Lyla. She has shown us what it means to lead with courage and a pure heart. Cheers erupted, and Lyla felt tears welling in her eyes. Tycho, perched on her shoulder, chirped happily. You did it, Lyla. You've given them a future to believe in. As the festivities continued, Luna, the dolphin, appeared in a shimmering pool created by the kingdom's rivers. The citizens gasped in wonder as she spoke. Princess Lyla, your courage has inspired not just your people, but the world beyond. Remember, this is only the beginning of your journey as a leader. Lyla nodded, her determination renewed. She knew her role as a princess, and someday as queen, would require strength, wisdom, and compassion. She vowed to guide her people with the same bravery she had shown on her quest. That evening, under a sky full of stars, the kingdom lit lanterns that floated into the air, symbolizing hope and unity. Lyla watched them rise, her heart full of gratitude and purpose. For the first time in years, the kingdom was free, and its future was brighter than ever. As the celebrations carried on, a shadow crept across the outskirts of the kingdom. Unbeknownst to the revelers, Morgana, the witch who had cursed the kingdom, was not gone. Though her power had been shattered, she remained, weakened but burning with anger and revenge. In a hidden corner of the forest, she watched the glowing lanterns rising above the kingdom with a sneer. They think they've won, she muttered. But they haven't seen the last of me. Morgana began crafting a new plan. She gathered fragments of her shattered magic, using the forest's darkness to regain strength. Her goal was not just to curse the kingdom again but to destroy it entirely. However, the light of the gems now protected the land, creating a barrier against her powers. Meanwhile, in the kingdom, Lyla felt a strange unease. Even as the people celebrated, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching them. Tycho noticed her furrowed brow. What's wrong, Lyla? He asked. I don't know, Lyla admitted. It's like the air is heavier, like something is lurking. The royal advisor approached, sensing her concern. The gem's power has restored our land, but Morgana is not easily defeated. You must remain vigilant, Princess. Evil often hides in the shadows. Lyla nodded, knowing her journey was far from over. That night, as the kingdom slept, she stayed awake, gazing out her window. The moonlight illuminated the forest, but somewhere in the darkness, Morgana's presence lingered. Lyla whispered to herself, if she returns, I'll be ready. Her determination grew stronger. She knew protecting her kingdom was not just about breaking a curse but ensuring its safety for generations to come. In the days following the grand celebration, life in the kingdom began to settle. The people embraced their new freedom, building larger homes, exploring the vast world, and living without fear. Yet, for Lyla, the uneasy feeling remained. Late one night, as the kingdom slept, Tycho fluttered into Lila's room, his feathers ruffled. "Princess, I saw something strange near the forest edge," he said urgently. "There's a dark mist creeping closer." Lila's heart sank. She had hoped Morgana was truly gone. But this could only mean one thing: she was regaining her strength. "We can't let her harm the kingdom again," Lyla said firmly. "We need to act before it's too late." The next morning, Lyla gathered the council and shared Tycho's discovery. The royal advisor, grim-faced, confirmed her fears. The barrier created by the gems keeps Morgana at bay. But if her magic grows strong enough, she might break through. Determined to protect her people, Lyla decided to investigate the dark mist herself. With Tycho by her side, she ventured to the forest edge, where the air was thick and cold. Shadows writhed like living things, and whispers echoed faintly. "Stay close," Lyla whispered, her hand gripping her thorn sword. As they moved deeper into the forest, the mist thickened, and a chilling voice rang out. "Princess Lyla," it hissed. "You may have defeated me once, but you'll not succeed again." Morgana's figure emerged from the darkness, her form gaunt but her eyes burning with hatred. "Your gems may have restored your kingdom, but they cannot protect you forever," she sneered. Lyla stood tall despite her fear. "You've already lost, Morgana. The people of this kingdom are stronger than your hatred." Morgana laughed. "We shall see, little princess." With a wave of her hand, the mist surged forward. Lyla and Tycho barely escaped, returning to the castle to warn the others. Back in the safety of the kingdom, Lyla resolved to protect the gems at all costs. "We must prepare for whatever Morgana plans," she told her council. Though fear gripped her heart, Lila's courage burned brighter. The fight for the kingdom's future was far from over. The news of Morgana's resurgence spread quickly through the kingdom, and fear began to creep back into the hearts of the people. Lyla knew she had to act swiftly to protect her kingdom and the gems from the witch's wrath. Gathering her council, Lyla devised a plan. "We must fortify the kingdom and prepare for an attack," she declared. The gems were moved to the castle's inner sanctum, where layers of magical protection were placed around them. The kingdom's citizens, inspired by Lila's bravery, joined in the effort, building barriers and crafting defenses. Lyla also sought help from the forest creatures. She called upon Luna, the dolphin, and the wise elder owl, Oren, to aid in the kingdom's defense. Luna agreed to protect the kingdom's waterways, while Oren offered his knowledge of ancient magic to strengthen their defenses. As night fell, an eerie stillness blanketed the land. Lyla, Tycho, and a group of trusted guards patrolled the perimeter. Suddenly, the air grew cold, and the dark mist Morgana had conjured began seeping toward the kingdom's gates. From the shadows, Morgana appeared, her power restored and her hatred fiercer than ever. "Princess Lyla," Morgana called out. her voice dripping with malice. "Hand over the gems, and I may spare your people." Lyla stepped forward, her tiny sword gleaming in the moonlight. "You'll never take the gems, Morgana. This kingdom stands united against you." Morgana unleashed a torrent of dark magic. But Lyla and her allies were prepared. The magical barriers held strong, and Luna's enchanted waves repelled Morgana's mist. Tycho darted through the air, disorienting Morgana with swift attacks. As the battle raged, Lyla remembered the gem's power could be used to weaken Morgana further. She rushed to the inner sanctum and activated their combined magic, sending a beam of radiant light piercing through the darkness. The light struck Morgana, and she screamed in fury as her magic began to unravel. Weakened but not defeated, Morgana retreated into the forest, vowing vengeance. "This is not over, Princess," she cried before vanishing into the shadows. Though the kingdom had triumphed for now, Lyla knew Morgana's threat still loomed. She vowed to remain vigilant, knowing the fight for her kingdom's safety was far from finished. But for that night, the kingdom celebrated their victory, united in hope and determination. The morning after Morgana's retreat, sunlight bathed the kingdom in a golden glow, a stark contrast to the darkness of the previous night. Though the citizens rejoiced in their victory, Lyla knew their peace was fragile. The witch's threat still lingered, and the kingdom needed to remain strong. Lyla stood on the castle's balcony, addressing her people. "Last night, we proved that together, we are stronger than any darkness. Morgana may still lurk in the shadows, but we will face her with courage, unity, and hope." Her words were met with cheers, and a renewed sense of determination spread through the kingdom. The citizens worked tirelessly to rebuild what had been damaged and to fortify their defenses. The gems, still glowing with their combined magic, were enshrined in a sacred chamber, protected by spells and watched over by Oren, the Elder Owl. As days turned into weeks, the kingdom thrived. Lyla dedicated herself to learning more about the ancient magic that protected their land, determined to be ready for any future threats. She worked closely with her allies, Tycho, Luna, and Oren, strengthening bonds that had been forged through their shared trials. One evening, as Lyla walked through the kingdom, she saw her people laughing, working, and living without fear. A smile spread across her face. The tiny kingdom was tiny no more, it was a place of strength, resilience, and unity. Standing beneath the glowing lanterns that symbolized hope, Lyla whispered to herself, "No matter what comes, we will stand together." From that day forward, the kingdom flourished under Lyla's leadership. Her courage and selflessness became the foundation of a brighter future. Though Morgana's shadow lingered in distant lands, Lyla knew that as long as her people stood united, no darkness could ever truly prevail. The story of Princess Lyla and her journey to restore her kingdom became a legend, passed down through generations, inspiring all who heard it to believe in the power of bravery, unity, and hope.